What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hive Prometheus. Happy holidays. Today is a good day. It's the day after the Munitorum Field Manual, which is the points changes to 40k armies, and the Dataslate has released, which is rules changes and datasheet changes specifically. Those came out yesterday on Wednesday, December 11th. Today, I'm just going to go quickly through the changes that Tyranids have seen. Tyranids have seen some improvements and some glow-ups in slight rules tweaks for specific detachments that I'll get into, and then I'm going to roll quickly into the points changes that have affected our army, and then I'll show a sample list on something that I've been thinking about cooking up specifically for Assimilation Swarm, because that's the detachment that's seen the greatest improvement here. So then throw up the image here for the changes to the Tyranid army rules. As you can see here, anything that has changed is in red specifically. So going down to the Assimilation Swarm detachment, you see that the Feed the Swarm detachment rule has changed, so that in your command phase, each harvester unit from your army can regenerate one friendly Tyranid unit within 6 of it. It no longer requires you to be on an objective, which is really great for being able to heal up those monsters and bringing back Endless Swarm, and bringing back Endless Multitude and Multi-Wound models. When specifically targeting a unit to regain wounds, it's now D3+1, which helps with those wounded Tyrant Guard or other multi-wound models, such as monsters. And additionally, at the bottom right-hand corner here, you can see that the Norn Assimilator has finally gotten Harvester keyword. So now he can be used in the Assimilation Swarm to potentially hand out heals to other creatures or himself. He also is now able to do the Feel No Pain ability for 2 CP in the detachment, which is desperately needed to keep him alive, seeing as he does not have an invuln. And then the last change, which I guess is detachment agnostic, is the change on the Trigon's Subterranean Tunnel ability. He lost the 3-inch deep strike because all 3-inch deep strikes are being changed to 6-inch deep strike. The only thing I'm a little upset about is that he did not gain any ability to charge afterwards. I would have been happy if he had stayed at a higher point value and been able to charge after the 6-inch deep strike. But subsequently, we'll see what his points have gone to when I pull up the points here. The points here, I'm thankful that GW has now finally shown in green or in red the points increases and the points change to those units. Whereas previously you would only see the color being red or green if they went up or down, but you couldn't see what the points were previously. So both the Norns actually came down 15 points. I'm very happy about that. That leaves some wiggle room in my Crusher Stampede lists. It also doesn't tax you as much if you want to put one of those into an Assimilation Swarm or Synaptic Nexus list. One of the things that did happen that hurts Synaptic Nexus a little bit is the change to Armor of Contempt. It now only applies for the activation of the unit that is attacking it. It does not count for the entire. It does not count for the entirety of the round of shooting or melee when you proc it. So I think now you might see one less emissary in Synaptic Nexus lists, but they're still going to be very useful just because of their 2-up, 4-up. The Trigon, as we talked about, went down from 170 to 150. I think this makes him a really interesting proposition as a one-off in Crusher Stampede because he does move 10 inches, and with an Untrammel Ferocity move, he can get past a lot of ruin footprints that a lot of our monsters that move 8 would have a hard time doing. And if you're worried about the pivot, I would just position him behind the wall so that he doesn't have to pivot, or it's the smallest footprint to move past the wall on the long edge. And then, surprisingly, Tyrant Guard actually went down 5 points for 3, so that the full brick of them for 6 is 160 points and not 170. This also is just a win for Assimilation Swarm. Probably already wanted to take a squad of 6, 12, sometimes 18 models in Assimilation Swarm, depending on how you're teching into that stat check. So having a little extra wiggle room and potentially 10, 20, or 30 extra points in that list looks really good. But I just wanted to keep this video quick and easily digestible. Those are the big changes, but I want to go into a list for Assimilation Swarm that I am looking to play here in the next week or so, because I do have a team tournament this weekend. All right, so going to the list here, I kind of spiritually wanted to make this a Monster Mash Assimilation list. That's the style list I like to play. That's why I like Crusher Stampede so much. First off, we got the Broodlord here with the Instinctive Defense enhancement. That's why he's 95 points instead of 80. He's going to go with a block of 10 Gene Stealers so that they can Heroic Intervention for 0 CP, and they have a Fights First ability. This is going to be really great on dense terrain to protect the Emissary or the Assimilator on an objective, as you see down below. Swarmlord is going to be attached to a block of 6 Tyrant Guard. I'm leaning more towards giving them Scything Talons and Rending Claws just so you could get some extra quality Strength 6 AP 1 for 1 damage attacks. It would be 30 attacks. I have 1 Lictor as an Infiltrator just to kind of go out, put on an objective as early pressure to bring people towards me so I can entrap them. The Biovore is there to do Biovore things, seed mines, and get a few secondary points, and to potentially position to stop advances and charges. Raveners are great tech to redeploy, go into the ground, and come back in a place in which you have to complete an objective. I have 2 squads of Hormigons. 1 is 20 and 1 is 10, specifically for either throwing at enemy units to use the crit on 5s with this squad of 20 Hormigons, because it'd be 60 attacks with crits on 5s. They could do potentially a lot of damage even with the low strength. The squad of 10 Hormigons is specifically for screening or going to steal an objective. I've got 2 Psychophages. They're quality harvesters, and their points reduction from the last Munitorum brought them in line so that they're actually pretty tanky for their points, and their Feel No Pain aura is going to help anything that's next to them, including the Haruspexes. The Emissary is probably going to do his thing, and he's going to declare a singular purpose objective and stay there. The Assimilator potentially you could put in reserve, and with shooting the Harpoons out of reserve, it's a 7-inch charge that you can easily reroll with a CP. And then one of the Haruspexes I might also want to reserve, and a Haruspex is probably going to be there to protect another objective, either with Swarmlord or with the Norn. And he is another Harvester, so he can heal the Norn when he's within 6 inches of him. So all in all, I'm kind of excited for this list. It looks fun. It doesn't have the same shooting castle that I like to run in Crusher Stampede, but this is specifically tuned towards denser terrain, and it brings a lot of the fight to you. And a lot of these things have good tech to fight on objectives. So I hope to run this the next week. I think with Grotmus and all the other detachments coming out, I might have to wait a little bit to get some sort of preemptive data on how Warrior Bioform Detachment is doing and the other detachments do after the changes to Assimilation Swarm before I do my next tier list. But I'm excited to do so because it's been 5 or 6 months until I've done one, and people seem to like those. So thanks for coming by, and I hope some of this helps you in some of your upcoming games. Until next time, I'll see you on Hive Fleet Prometheus.